Increasingly, people globally expect service provision communications to be in their language. RWS, a global leader in the provision of technology-enabled language, content, and intellectual property services, recently released a report called Riding the Global AI Shockwave. RWS is a long-term supporter and sponsor of Translators Without Borders and Clear Global, and this was one of the findings. This finding is important about language for anybody who provides services. We all know that providing services in the right language is more effective. It is also a way of demonstrating respect and dignity. But another thing that I found interesting in the report was the enthusiasm in Africa and Asia for generative AI. RWS did a survey of about 4,900 people in 14 countries and in 20 languages. And some of those languages were quite low resource. So they got a really broad sector of people who are interested in generative AI. And they found that people in Africa and Asia recognized the potential opportunity for generative AI in knowledge and information provision. And they were already using generative AI and experimenting with it and educating themselves on what they wanted to see in generative AI. It's a pretty savvy group of people. They were mostly business-to-business buyers, so they weren't the normal sort of people that we might be working with in the social impact sector. But they were very clear about some of the things that they wanted to see in terms of building trust in the use of generative AI. The first thing was telling people when they're using generative AI, and just that transparency of being able to know when generative AI was being used was seen as really important. The second thing was what they called explainability. So where is the information coming from? What sources is generative AI using to get the answers to their questions? And the third thing, which is really critical, is they wanted to know how humans were involved and wanted humans to be involved, particularly in the monitoring and development of the generative AI systems. So those three things, making sure that you knew if generative AI was being used, the transparency, explainability, so what are the sources, and human involvement, in addition to ensuring that service provision was in the right language, were seen as critical components for generative AI to be successful and work well. And while RWS is, of course, looking at the commercial sector, I think these are equally applicable in the social impact sector, where we're exploring how to use generative AI and really focused on the ethics and safety of generative AI right now. But I think if we really want it to be used and used well, we also have to consider those four factors. And that's what's interesting in low resource language tech.